Hello, it's your boy Tonkus, and it's time for some more story reading. And don't forget, I do all sorts of weird crap on a mostly weekly basis, so feel free to hit that subscribe button if you feel like it. Anyway, let's go ahead and just take a look. So, yep, we're doing another Sonic crossover. This one brought to you by Super Trampoline and Bicyclette. So, the story is called Trixie has Asomatognosia. And yeah, as you can see by the description here, Trixie attempts to amputate Celestia and revolutionize the game of buckball. Spike attempts to be relevant, as always. Why is my Chrome window like that? Okay. Thankfully I caught it before I, got any further. Anyway, let's start with the chapter now. Chapter the first and only chapter because Bicyclette needed to go to bed and I needed to get back to cleaning and packing because I'm moving this week and next week. I'm only moving like 50 miles, but okay. Well, long chapter name is long anyway. That's just the usual Super Trampoline style. Let's get started. One day, Spike grew a second head. Oh well, that's not good, he said. I'll say, the other head agreed. Meanwhile, Trixie woke up missing her rear left leg. The bottom half anyway, like below the knee. Do horses have knees? Frick if I know. Anyway, she also decided this was not good, for, you see, today was the day that she was planning on trying out for Princess Celestia's buckball team, because buckball's easy. It's barely even a game. But now she had to find something else to do because her leg was half gone. She supposed she could steal Kerfuffle's prosthetic leg. It'd be a pretty move, but that's kind of Trixie's wheelhouse. And we got some pictures. Of course, it struck Trixie as a bit contrived to travel all the way to wherever Kerfuffle lived just to steal her prosthetic leg. Surely there were more convenient solutions that were not so ableist. Something that probably involves Spike, because otherwise that would just be a narrative thread that hangs loose all the way until the end of the fic. And we got a meme. Anyway, forgetting Spike for a moment, just like the show writers half the time, ayo! Trixie decided, as a backup plan, she would simply amputate one of Celestia's legs and any other buckball competitors so that they would all be on an uneven playing field. She decided that she would need a very capable bone saw for this, and fortunately, bone saws and quills, but not sofas, had set up shop right next to Ponyville's electric fans and panini presses store. Said store does in fact appear to be in the show as evidenced by the image below, but later after it showed up, the store manager, Fannie Mae, decided to expand into selling panini presses as well. "One bone saw, please," Trixie yelled, barging into the aforementioned actual business shop, bone saws and quills, but not sofas. "I need to hack off the lower limb of the sovereign of our nation in order to level the playing field for a game that is, in fact, easy." Back to Spike for a moment. His heads were now making out with each other in the name of practicing for what I actually kiss Rarity, because this Spike still had his early show characterization that was only necessary to mark Rarity as the attractive one, despite being drawn in the same template as all the other equally hot main characters. I feel like by the end of the series, he had kind of moved on from that crush, but I honestly don't remember. And I feel like it's the kind of move on where if she did change her mind, he would definitely smash if the situation changed. And I mean, can you blame him to the quote acclaimed Canadian comedy Letterkenny, who you should definitely watch? Rarity is an effing rocket. Please don't look at my Rarity tagged favorites on Derpaboo with the filter off. Wow, a lot of meta commentary, but then again, that's Super Trampoline style, so who knows, whatever. Now, back to ignoring Spike, because his arcs were never really were very interesting. Trixie needed to follow her own shallow motivations for injuring the immortal goddess queen that had guided the very civilization she was part of from its inception. Fortunately, Bone Saws and Quills, but not sofas, was a proper bone saw and quill specialty shop, unlike those generalist hacks at Bone Saws and Quills and Sofas, who only got into it to follow the trend. F them. So, Fannie Mae, Mr. Breeze's daughter and also a store manager, since he had retired from the day-to-day operations as to explore franchising opportunities in Yakistan. Apparently, the Yaks, in their machismo ways, feel it's not cold enough there and want to buy fans to increase the wind chill factor. Or maybe they're just getting bored and are looking for new ways to smash. If so, good for them. I mean, I have no clue how they would power the electric fans other than portable generators, and those make a lot of noise, but hey, who's to. But hey, to pull a pertinent quote from Paul Simon's 1986 smash hit record Graceland, who am I to blow against the wind? Oh, right. Fannie Mae was able to sell Trixie a bone saw capable of cutting an Alcorn leg in twain. That's how she was relevant to the story. Now that she had her tool, all she had to do was find Celestia and the current roster of her buckball team to non-consensually remove part of their part of one of their limbs. Okay. Not that consensually removing parts of limbs is typically recommended except in emergency cases. In fact, there's a term for people, ponies, creatures who wish to harm themselves by acquiring a disability, and there's a Wikipedia link if you want to check that out. Trixie was satisfied because by providing an educational service, this fic would now be eligible to receive grant funding from the EEA, and she needed the bits to pay off that expensive bone saw and what she owed back in taxes, and the Manhattan Mob, and Starlight, but we don't talk about that last one. Fortunately, Trixie was able to find Celestia and her entire team playing a practice game on the buckball court at the School of Friendship. By entire team, we mean 8 players. Buckball only has 3 athletes from each side on the field at a time, so a roster usually only includes 7 to 9 players. This is good world building. For more of the minutiae of Buckball, we encourage you to check out this story. Of course, Trixie would now have to figure out just how she could get said players and a ruler of a continent-spanning nation-state in a position to get the bottom half of their rear legs removed, just like her hero, Kerfuffle. She thought about it for a bit, and even packed a bowl to smoke, since unlike in the human world, Equestria doesn't classify marijuana as a Schedule 1 drug because its lawmakers don't have a stick up their collective buttocks. It was fortunate that she had done so because the introspection a good bowl of marijuana provides. Okay, sorry, I lost my spot there for a moment. Was enough for her to realize that her disability had not affected any of her actions in the story so far. But of course, the degree to which such things should be emphasized is a line that is difficult to navigate for the conscious writer. This did cause her to actually look down below the knee that horses either do or do not have and realize that she did in fact have the bottom half of her rear leg still attached to her, and it only felt like she had not because it had been cut off from her internal body map. This of course makes the question of whether or not she was actually missing said part of her limb a fairly philosophical one. Of course, Trixie is an imaginary creature, so whether a substantial portion of her leg was missing is more an academic exercise than anything else. Does it even matter? Does anything matter? I mean, the fact that you, dear reader, are reading this would seem to indicate that not much matters to you, given that there are literally millions of ways you could better use your time. Alas, you're still here. How queer. But this is how the Trixie in this story ends. High, ruminating on the pointlessness of her own actions and existence as she half-heartedly watches a practice game for a sport she has no respect or interest for. Her life is forever frozen in this moment from our perspective, for this is how the story leaves her. Meanwhile, Spike was at the comic shop trying to haggle on the price of some new Power Ponies comics because every single story that mentions in-universe comics drops the fact that they're Power Ponies comics, specifically. Suddenly, oh, it's redacted. Okay. Suddenly, blank, because when a prolapsed blank, ribcage was forcibly blanked, you and your mom, Tempest Shadow roared before bringing the spear down on blank, ravioli, and fetal matter both blank, 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 and the turgid blank, blank, blank muffles up her blank, both of the spa twins at the exact same time, but the tongue slipped and blank, 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 blank. And that rarity is why hydras suck at doing the naughties, Spitfire concluded. Rarity just stared at her, horrified. What the frick? Well, that was a trip and a half. Well, here's the author's note. Thanks for co-writing Bicyclette. For more humorous hijinks, go read a great story of theirs here. And 2 links there. Anyway, that was an absolute disaster. But I love it. So, yeah, that's that story. It is now officially read. Definitely warrants my reading disclaimer about, how don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading this. But, in the end, we're just having fun, Anyway, that's it for now. Feel free to, like and subscribe, whatever, if you feel like it. I'm not, asking for it specifically. Actually, I kind of am, but whatever. And yeah, until next time, I'm out. See ya.